Welcome to The One Show with Christine Blakely.
And Adrian Chiles, and a woman who says exactly what she's thinking.
Why have you come dressed as a blancmange? So you've got an irritating voice, an irritating laugh, and you're lazy?
Yeah.
You're not really a medium, are you? You're more of an extra large.
Anne Robinson is here.
And we're very pleasant on The One Show. You won't be nasty to us.
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
Excellent.
Because I've known him when he was thin.
Yes. Right. I don't have to take that. Spotted Dick. We'll go straight to pudding, Anne. Flintshire Council's been widely lambasted today for insisting that it now be called not Spotted Dick, but Spotted Richard in its staff canteen. What do you make of that? The press are going nuts, as you can imagine.
Why, what's wrong with Spotted Dick?
Well, it's got the word dick in it,
No,
which is... really...
I went to convent boarding school and we always called it Spotted Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, why change it, really?
Yeah.
Is it political correctness gone mad?
Well, you
Could that
see,
be it?
my brother-in-law is called Dick. His name's Jonathan Dick. My sister's married a Dick. She's now Nicola Dick.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Anything wrong with the name Dick?
I'm being honest.
No?
No, Spotted Richard's not the same.
No, of course it doesn't have
good.
the same ring. We've just
Listen,
made it.
we're giving you opportunity. Are you a dick? If so, be out, be proud, get in touch with us. Dicks, stand up for your rights to be dicks, right?
Yes.
Not a right load of Richards. Tell us why you don't feel ashamed to be a dick. And
Like
why
my
should you be.
brother-in-law.
Absolutely.
He's a firefighter and he works hard. He should be proud.
He is. bbc.co.uk/the One Show. Moving on. Next question for Anne.
Yeah, come on.
Do you believe in God, Anne?
Sort of. I once read a piece, but you remember that Karen Armstrong, who used to be a nun and now writes very serious philosophical books. She said it was unhelpful to question the existence of God. It's quite clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
We wouldn't like to be unhelpful.
No.
No,
So,
no.
okay.
Well, a developmental psychologist at Bristol University reckons magical and supernatural beliefs are hardwired into our brains from birth.
In other words, we're possibly born religious rather than made religious by those around us.
Jermaine Greer isn't so sure.
We come into this world pre-programmed to breathe, to look about us, to feed. But the idea that we might also be pre-programmed to believe in a God, well, that rather beggars belief.
I would say that our brains are programmed to try and understand what causes things to happen in the world. And coming up with a supreme being seems to be the most sensible and easy solution. At times of crisis, we seek answers. And of course, religion provides many of those answers. And people find and take a lot of comfort in that.
Does religion have a social function?
Well, it's been around for a very long time. As far back as we can trace, there's evidence of religion. So something about it seems to be very persistent.
Most of us would accept that religion is cultural, but what if it's also neurological?
I think our brains are pre-programmed to be very, very believing early on in life in order that we can learn the masses of information that we need to believe in ghosts or fairies or goblins or gods. The content of those beliefs, that's not something which is in the brain.
Well, how do you explain the prevalence of religion?
There are many reasons why it is, and they will include things like the usefulness of religious beliefs for controlling and monitoring the population. It's something which has evolved through history because of its usefulness.
The Reverend Michael Rice sees no reason why such research should undermine religious belief.
Although it sounds threatening to many people, I think it's almost certain that there is a biological basis to religious faith. So if who we are includes having a religious sense, that is going to be largely due to our brain. Many people don't have a religious faith. People vary hugely in the extent to which they have a moral sense. We are very variable, but we spring from a common biological root.
What this latest research suggests is that if God didn't exist, we would indeed have to invent him. It looks as if the atheist and the Archbishop have more in common than either of them would like to think.
But do you believe we're born with it?
I've never thought that possible, actually. Why haven't we got Richard Dawkins here?
We did put the bid in, but he wouldn't do it if you were on, Anne.
I've always thought that one of the most least successful jobs in the world was if you were Richard Dawkins' godmother.
Yeah. that is very true.
Yeah, yeah.
But I took this as we had opposite views on this, didn't we?
Kind of, yeah. Well, I just think it's more cultural and...
Yeah. Because I thought it was a very pro-religious thing to say that you're kind of born with it, because I thought, in my rather simplistic version of religion, I thought, well, obviously it's in your brain already because God made you, so God would put that in there to believe in him.
I think that it's probably very helpful to think there is something, some other being that you can rely on and refer to. But I'm sure it's to do with upbringing. I think it's nurture, isn't it, not nature? I mean, because if you're brought up in a certain house... I was brought up in I'm a cradle Catholic, so I don't take Catholicism very seriously. And I went to a convent boarding school, so I take nuns even less seriously. Yeah. But if you're a convert, then you take it very seriously, don't you? But none of that... I wasn't born with any of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do get in touch with us on the website. You've got a view on this, bbc.co.uk/The One Show.
The authorities have all warned us to brace ourselves for a second wave of swine flu this autumn.
That could have all sorts of implications for holiday insurance, amongst other things, obviously. What happens if you get it and can't take the holiday you've booked?
Or even, as in the case Lucy Siegel's uncovered, you have to cancel for fear of getting swine flu.
Since its outbreak in Mexico, swine flu has gone global. But it's not only affecting our health, it's affecting our holidays. Reports of a recent survey claim a quarter of British holidaymakers questioned changed their travel plans because of the virus.
Now, if you have to cancel your holiday because you caught swine flu, there is at least one thing that you shouldn't have to worry about, and that's losing the money, because your insurance company should cover you. But for one viewer, it wasn't quite that simple.
Ellie Chambers and her partner Chris from Brighton wanted to celebrate their 10th anniversary with a trip to America. They booked £600 worth of flights before swine flu hit the headlines.
We were going to go to Reno and San Francisco, to Las Vegas, which would be lovely.
Well, I'd booked the hotel in San Francisco, so we had a view of the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, which she didn't know about, so it was going to be quite a special holiday for us both.
Yeah.
Since having a heart transplant, Ellie's had to take drugs which lower her immune system. She must avoid colds and flu, which could have serious consequences for her. She bought specialist travel insurance from Free Spirit, which insures people with pre-existing medical conditions. And it came at a specialist price, £170 for 2 weeks cover.
But just before the couple were due to jet off, the world went into panic.
The virus started on this side of the Atlantic, first in Mexico, and then it quickly spread to the United States.
A couple of cases came up specifically in the areas we were going to travel to. And so I spoke to the hospital that I go to for my checkups. They advised that we shouldn't travel to that area, so it was really sad that our one holiday of the year we were going to have to cancel.
Ellie tried to make a claim on her travel insurance, supported by a note from her doctor stating that the cancellation had been on medical advice, but Free Spirit refused to cough up. They said her policy would have covered her if she'd actually caught swine flu, but didn't cover her cancelling the trip just because of the risk of catching it.
If I'd have travelled to America, I could have got ill, and I'd have been travelling against the advice from my doctors, so my insurance would have been invalidated. But if I hadn't travelled, I couldn't claim my money back, so I lost out either way.
Ellie did the right thing by getting written confirmation from her doctor, but despite that, she didn't get her money back.
Well, we contacted the company, and, well, they seem to have done a U-turn. They have told us that they realised that you would have been put at considerable risk by travelling to America. They would never encourage people to travel against the advice of medical experts, and they apologise for any distress caused. So, Ellie, what do you think of Free Spirit now?
Well, it's really good that I've got my claim settled and I've got my money back, and they've understood